The office was unusually tense that afternoon. Everyone seemed to be on edge, their faces buried in screens, fingers typing furiously. Claire, a young marketing associate, sat at her desk, heart racing. She'd just realized she made a mistake, a glaring typo in an ad campaign that had already gone live. It wasn't just a small mistake. The typo changed the entire meaning of the slogan, making it unintentionally offensive. Claire immediately flagged it to her manager, hoping to fix it before too many people noticed. But the damage had already been done. Screenshots of the ad were making rounds on social media, and the comments were brutal. "Claire, in my office. Now." The voice of the CEO, Mr. Bradshaw, boomed across the open office floor. He was known for his sharp suits, sharper tongue, and zero-tolerance policy for mistakes. Claire swallowed hard, her palms sweaty as she stood and walked the long stretch to his glass office. She could feel the weight of her coworkers' stares, their silent pity stabbing into her like knives. As soon as the door closed behind her, Mr. Bradshaw didn't hold back. "Do you have any idea how much damage you've caused?" he barked, slamming his hand on the table for emphasis. "This company's reputation is on the line, and it's all because of your carelessness." Claire stammered, trying to explain. I'm so sorry, sir. It was an oversight. I've already reached out to the team to pull the ad and issue an apology." "Sorry isn't good enough," he snapped, cutting her off. "I trusted you with this, and you failed. We can't afford to have someone like you on this team." Her stomach dropped. "Are you saying I'm fired?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," he said coldly. "Pack your things and leave. Now." The words hit her like a blow to the chest. Tears burned at the back of her eyes, but she held them back. She nodded silently and left his office, her head hanging low. Claire packed up her desk quietly, her hands trembling. She could hear whispers around her, coworkers murmuring about what had happened, but pretending not to notice her. She wanted to scream, to defend herself, but she knew it wouldn't matter. She'd worked so hard for this job, late nights, weekends, endless hours spent proving herself. And now one mistake had erased it all. When she left the office, she didn't look back. Her pride wouldn't let her, but as soon as she got home, the tears she'd been holding back poured out. She sobbed on her couch, replaying the moment over and over in her head. Her father, David, called her that evening. "How was work, sweetheart?" he asked cheerfully. Hearing his voice broke her even more. "I got fired, Dad," she choked out. "What? Why?" "I made a mistake on a campaign. It was bad, and they let me go," she said, her voice cracking. There was a pause on the other end of the line, then David's calm, steady voice. "It's okay, Claire. Mistakes happen. You're not the first person to mess up at work, and you won't be the last. We'll figure this out." She wanted to believe him, but it didn't feel like it could ever be okay. A week later, Claire was still job hunting, her confidence shattered. She'd avoided telling most people about what had happened. The shame felt too heavy. One evening, her dad called her again. "Claire, I want to ask you something. What's the name of the company you worked for?" She hesitated, confused. "Why?" "Just curious," he said lightly. "Humor me." "It's Bradshaw & Co.," she said reluctantly. "Why does it matter?" "I'll explain later," he replied, his tone unreadable. Claire didn't think much of it. Her dad was always asking random questions. Sometimes it was about her favorite restaurant, other times about the latest Netflix show. She figured he was just trying to distract her. But 2 days later, she got a call from him that left her stunned. "Claire, I've just finalized the purchase of Bradshaw & Co., he said casually, as if he just picked up groceries. "What?" she gasped. "I've been looking for a new investment opportunity, and when I heard how they treated you, I decided this was the one," he said. "I wanted to make sure no one else goes through what you did." Claire couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her dad had always been successful in business, but she'd never imagined he had the power to buy out her former company. The next morning, David walked into Bradshaw & Company's office with Claire by his side. The staff looked up, confused, as the two of them made their way to Mr. Bradshaw's office. "Mr. Bradshaw," David said as he opened the door without knocking. "I'm David Bennett, the new owner of this company." Bradshaw's face went pale. "Mr. Bennett, I didn't realize." David held up a hand to stop him. "Save it. I'm here to talk about how you fired my daughter over a mistake." Bradshaw glanced at Claire, his discomfort clear. "Mr. Bennett, with all due respect, your daughter's mistake cost us—" "And you've never made a mistake in your life?" David interrupted, his voice sharp. "You humiliated her, fired her on the spot, and didn't even give her a chance to make it right. That's not how you lead a team." Bradshaw stammered. "I was under pressure." David didn't let him finish. "Effective immediately, you're no longer the CEO of this company. Pack your things and leave." Claire watched, stunned, as Bradshaw's power crumbled before her eyes. After Bradshaw stormed out, the air in the boardroom felt lighter, but Claire couldn't shake the weight pressing on her chest. She turned to her father, a mix of relief and uncertainty swirling in her mind. David's piercing, yet kind eyes softened as he looked at her. "I'm not giving you your job back," he said. Claire froze, her heart plummeting like a stone in water. She had fought so hard to prove herself, to salvage her career after Bradshaw's callous decision. "Why not?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. David stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Because you deserve better," he said, his voice steady but filled with warmth. "You're not just an employee, Claire. You're a leader. You've got heart, resilience, and a vision for how things should be done. This place needs that. You're going to run this company with me." Her breath caught in her throat. For a moment, she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "What?" she stammered, her voice breaking. David chuckled softly, a proud smile spreading across his face. "I'm serious. I'll mentor you, guide you through the ropes. Together, we'll turn this company into something that values its people, not just as workers, but as human beings. No one will ever go through what you did under Bradshaw's leadership again." The weight that had been suffocating her all week lifted, replaced by a flood of emotion. Tears welled up in her eyes, spilling over before she could stop them. But this time, they weren't tears of defeat or humiliation. They were tears of gratitude and hope. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Thank you, Dad." David's smile deepened. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Claire, even you, especially you." The room seemed to brighten with his words, the walls that once felt like they were closing in, now echoing with possibilities. Claire straightened her posture, her resolve hardening like steel. "I won't let you down," she promised, her voice steady now. "I know you won't," David replied. "But remember, leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being human, about owning up to mistakes, listening to others, and always striving to do better." That day marked the start of something new, not just for Claire, but for the company itself. With her father's guidance, she dove into her new role, determined to create a workplace where kindness wasn't an afterthought, fairness wasn't a compromise, and understanding wasn't a luxury. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be challenges, skeptics, and mistakes. But Claire also knew she had something Bradshaw never did: the courage to care, the humility to learn, and the determination to build something that mattered. Months later, as Claire walked through the office, she saw the change taking shape. Employees smiled more, collaboration thrived, and the rigid fear that had once gripped the company dissolved. Claire's journey had come full circle, not just from a fired employee to a leader, but from someone underestimated to someone unstoppable. She knew she couldn't change the past, but she could shape the future. And with every step forward, Claire vowed to ensure no one else ever had to fight for their worth the way she once did. Her father had given her a second chance, and she was determined to pass that on to others, building a legacy rooted in empathy and respect. For the first time in years, Claire felt proud, not just of where she was, but of who she had become. And she knew deep down she had finally found her place.